Okay, so I heard this story, and I just did initially support him for many different reasons, mainly because of an interview, a couple of different interviews I saw of him, and I thought he was pretty cool. But I've since changed positions on that, like massively. Um, okay, so here's the story of RFK Jr. and the bear. Now, I have a lot of experience running into bears, which I have in Wisconsin. I did a couple of videos where I showed fresh tracks, scat, and then I also tell the story of how in 2018 I came face to face with one on the road where I was riding my bike, and it was maybe about a block, city block, small city block in front of me. Like I turned the corner, and all of a sudden, whoa! And it was a black bear, and it looked at me. I looked at it. I got off my bike, um, and I was just standing with it between my legs, But I sat there and looked at the bear. It looked at me, and there was a fairly long pause. And as soon as I moved to get my my phone to take a picture, the thing just darts into the woods. I was actually going to do a video, um, and I've also camped, and I've had a lot of experience camping in bear country, in Glacier in Montana, above Glacier, about 6 miles from the Canadian border. It's really spectacular, but you have to be very, very careful with how you keep your sight. There's a lot to it, but he's seems to know, about the environment and wildlife and shit. So let's take a listen to this. This is the bear story, and let's not forget what happened to Christy Nome. I think the press destroyed her intentionally to put this eyeliner queen in. Oh well, let's listen to this.
I was taking a group of people falconing up in Goshen, New York, up in the Hudson Valley, and I was supposed to meet them there at like maybe 8 or 9. I was driving up maybe really early, like 7, and that woman in a van in front of me hit a bear and killed it, a young bear. So I pulled over and I picked up the bear and put him in the back of my van because I was going to skin the bear, and it was very good condition, and I was going to and put the meat in my refrigerator. And you can do that in New York State. You can get a bear tag for a roadkill bear. And
Okay. Or were you going to have someone else do it, or I don't know, maybe a professional, but whatever. Let's keep going.
so then we went hawking, and I had the bear in my car. And then we had a really good day, and we went late. We were catching a lot of game, and the people really loved it. So we stayed late, and instead of going,
He always sits like this. He doesn't sit up straight and put the small of his back in the chair. He kind of leans down, and then he always crosses his legs, and then he fiddles with his leg. You see that? He kicks. He kicks and moves his feet. I've seen him do this. And then he always sits like this, and then he closes his arms, he closes up, and then I don't know, the way he positions himself when he speaks to people, even in interviews, I find annoying. I find his voice, I'm sick of listening to it. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how his family deals with that. I feel bad for the guy, but you know, all right.
Back to my home in Westchester. I had to go right to the
Who were you married to at the time?
city because there was a dinner at Peter Luger's Steakhouse. And at the end of the dinner, it went late, and I realized I couldn't go home. I had to go to the airport. And the bear was in my car, and I didn't want to leave the bear in the car.
Oh, cripes. So you were gonna, wait a minute, drop the car off in New York somewhere. You had a bear in there that was probably starting to get kind of smelly, and he doesn't specify what kind of car he had. I'm going to go ahead and guess it was a luxury SUV that used gas. And then he was going to hop a plane back home because, he's such an environmentalist and down with the man, right?
Because that would have been bad. So then I thought, at that time, this was a little bit of the redneck in me.
Redneck, you, how about Dick? That's okay.
There'd been a series of bicycle accidents in
This isn't even funny after being hit by a truck and run over. This isn't funny at fucking all.
New York. They had just put in the bike lanes, and saw a couple of people that got killed, and it was
No big deal because it wasn't you, right?
every day, and people had gotten badly injured. Every day it was in the press. And so I thought, I wasn't drinking, of course, but
Is he like tapping his leg or something? He wasn't drinking, of course, but the people who he was with were.
people were drinking with me who thought this was a good idea.
A good idea?
And I said, well, I had an old bike in my car that somebody had asked me to get.
So you're driving around with an old bike and you drive to New York City before you hop a plane to dump an old bike that somebody probably could have used because it was probably quite expensive. And so you're driving around with a bike in a car. That must have been a pretty big car. Um, okay, because I've dumped my bike in the back of my cars before, where I can't leave them out on a rack if I'm traveling. I've had so much stuff stolen. I've had a bike stolen too, but so even putting a bike in the back is hard. So he goes to New York City to dump some garbage off. Mr. Environmentalist.
Get rid of it. I said, let's go put the bear in Central Park and we'll make it look like he got hit by a bike.
How is that funny? How is that funny? I clearly he's never. That's just not funny. It's just. I've got to be honest with you. I find that to be so not funny and so upsetting. Mainly because I've been the victim of a hit and run, and I've been the person that almost died after being hit. So I don't think it's funny fucking at all. Plus, you're gonna dump a bear in Central Park, and you think that's funny? This man is just a fucking pig. It's not a funny story. How can you defend this? Why would you? Oh,
Funny for people. So everybody thought that's a great idea. So we went.
so everybody else thought it was a great idea. So what happens when your friends and you are in the White House, and of course they're drinking, but of course you're not, right? And there's a little pot, and you're an old heroin junkie, a little bit of H, maybe some fentanyl, and you decide it's a great idea to call Putin and just fuck around with him and say you're sending a nuke over, just for the fuck of it, you know. Ha 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 ha. We thought it was a joke. My friends thought it was a good idea. You guys, I'm not even serious. Now, I want you to think, what if this was Trump? It sounds like something Biden probably has done anyway. So let's take him out of the equation. Something with this guy that just every time I everything I uncover just makes me just so it's just like you want to just tell him to shut up and go away. I tell you. He's running right now strictly for attention because he's a narcissist and loves it, sucks it up, and can't get enough. I bet you 10 to 1 he's cheating on that Cheryl Hines chick who looks like she's so tight it's not funny. I mean, in the face, she's had like about as many facelifts as he has. She's almost scary looking. Um, he's got this CIA operative running his campaign. Well, what a perfect excuse. Hey, whoops, Trump would have won, but RFK Jr. took the votes. That's just a thought.
Did that, and we thought it would be amusing for whoever found it or something.
Amusing. Do you know what a huge scare that could be in Central Park? Because if you have a rogue bear laying there dead, I mean, all kinds of questions and red flags go up. And he's just an asshole. I mean, what is it? What if it's a young cub? That means its mother is nearby, right? Then what do? Close off sections of the park, set up traps. Think of all the expenses that the city of New York went through with this. What a fucking asshole.
Or something. The next day, it was like, it was on every television station. It was the front page of every paper. And I turned on the TV, and there was like a mile of yellow tape, and there were 20 cop cars. There were helicopters flying over it.
What an elitist. I would be just mortified if I did that.
And I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, what did you expect, you asshole? You know what? You weren't sober. You were drinking. That's something you do when you wake up from a drunk. Cripes, I do. I don't, but I don't drink like that either, you know? But was he drinking? And then did he drive? I don't believe this guy. I just don't believe him. Look at, and then he's got his arms crossed and he's kicking his leg, and there's kind of a constant. I don't think he's funny. I don't think he's cute. I don't think he's cool. I don't like his ideas. I don't like him. And I think he's a pig.
There was some people on
Look
TV.
at, he's always, see how he's tapping his foot? That's what you're hearing. He's tap, tap, tap. He's constant. I've heard that in other videos, and I'm always like, what is that? Go back. Yeah, I'm being critical on purpose. This is a critique.
God, what did I do? And then,
Yeah, he's bouncing up and down with his legs. He never stops. What's wrong with him? Does he have a problem? Is he on medication for his heroin addiction that's making him do that? Is that a side effect? I'm just curious.
there was some people.
See what he's doing with this leg? With his foot?
What did I do? And then
What's wrong with him?
there was some people on
Constantly moving. He never stops.
TV and tie
Here he goes
vaccines
again. 1, 2, 3. Who does that?
with gloves on, lifting up the bike, and they're saying they're going to take this up to Albany to get a fingerprinted.
Look at him. Oh, is he a fucking weirdo, man? Woo!
And
Look at his legs. Woo, is he weird? Oh, this dude ain't funny, man.
I was worried because my prints were all over that bike.
Does he have like Biden orthopedic shoes on?
Luckily,
Oh, is he weird?
the story died down
He's
after a while.
he's still moving his legs and tapping his foot. He never stops. I can't tolerate him. I'm glad there's only 21 seconds left because I can't stand this guy.
And it stayed dead for a decade. And the New Yorker somehow found out about it, and they're going to do a big article on me, and that's one of the articles. So they asked me, the fact checker said, it's going to be a bad story.
I think it's a great story.
Yeah, it's just hilarious. I don't think it's funny. What do you guys think?